Hello everyone, I am Yan, your favorite friendly Frenchman, and welcome to this special new DLC video on Planet Coaster 2. That's right, the Parades pack is coming out on the 25th of June 2026, and Frontier have given me early access so I could bring you this video today, so give it a like so I can show them my gratitude. But between the new coasters, the track ride, the flat rides, the small town theme, and of course the eponymous parades, there is so much content to play with and I had to pick one, and since I've always dreamed of making an RMC Single Rail, also known as the HPC Buzzard in the game, let's do one of those today. Funnily enough, I've recently discovered Yoy at Wallaby Holland. Check out that blog if you haven't already, by the way, but all that to say, I've freshly ridden them last month and I'm gonna take inspiration from my favorite of the two, which is the Frill layout. Let's start by building a 30-meter tall lift hill, or 98 feet tall for my feet lovers out there, then add a turnaround leading to a barrel roll down drop. This element acts as our first drop, but also a first impression of what type of layout the riders can expect, and a promise to you that it'll be an intense one. Point and case is our next element, inspired by the world's fastest inversion on Beyond the Cloud in China, a quick barrel roll right after the ride's highest point, which in our case is taken at 80 kilometers an hour, aka 50 miles an hour. Don't worry, the forces remain bearable because the roll is only meant to be disorienting so that the next element after that takes you by surprise. And since I feel like building illegal maneuvers today, how about another one with this outer bank non-inverting Immelman? Yes, you heard that right, and yes, I completely made that element up. Deal with my creative juices. This first in the world element gives crazy whip while transitioning into a non-inverting position to then give a big pop of flow ejector airtime at its apex. You've never expected an Immelman to pull these forces, have you? From there, we forcefully twist out of the Immelman into an outer bank test turn like the one I'd done for the Crow, my Intamin vertical launch coaster I'd made for the Sorcery pack, except this one is much smaller thanks to the scale of the single rail, allowing tighter movements. This of course gives another pop of whip into some ejector airtime once again, albeit shorter, which ends into a forceful turn that leads to the halfway point of our layout. To get there, our next element is an upwards barrel roll. That way we have all three possible variations of a roll on a single layout, which sounds delightful to my coaster enthusiast ears. That roll smoothly transitions into a forceful tight turn right away, a signature move of this type of coaster as you can see on many models around the world, although interestingly not on Yoy. Now our symphony of elements will be replying to itself with the next few elements. First we start with a quick double down for more ejector pops. The second pop interacts with the upwards roll from earlier to create a very near miss, but as always I check my clearance envelope. I may be a Frenchman, but we have stopped using the guillotine for a while now. From an element that gives you negative forces, we have a couple that will give you very intense positives that push you into your seat despite getting you in the air. The first one of those is an uncommon inversion called a cutback. Think of it as either a corkscrew that ends on the same side it started, or as an inverting horseshoe, and speaking of which, we have a classic forceful horseshoe with a head chopper interacting with the outer bank test turn right after our cutback. Now to release the tension from those highly positive G-forces, we enter two consecutive outer banked airtime hills. The first is banked to the left to transition smoothly from the banking of the horseshoe, and the second one throws you to the right, which will hopefully lead to another nice head chopper moment once we get our supports in. I'm never beating the Frenchman allegations with this layout, am I? Jokes aside, as the crescendo ending for our symphony of elements, let's finish with a forceful helix into our brake run, leading us back to the station of course. This is how you make a layout for an HPC Buzzard, otherwise known as the RMC Single Rail in real life, and that gives us a total of 680 meters of track, or 2,231 feet, or 11,155 toes. That is if you use normal feet to measure that. You never know, some feet may have a 6th toe if they're AI generated. I've gotta say that amongst all of those incredible elements, my favorite has to be the double down because of how it flows perfectly and how playful it feels amidst a layout that feels like it's here to destroy you with its intensity. But for now, it's just floating track, so let's support that effectively, and as you're about to see, RMC usually goes for very wacky support structures for this model's high elements like we have for our lift hill here. The problem is that they usually do that because of their very aerial elements, which we don't really have a lot of here, as our coaster is very low to the ground to keep its relentless pace throughout about the layout. That is why most of our supports will uncharacteristically be single point supports instead of these complex structures. Trust me, I've tried and it made no sense for most of it except for the tight turnaround, which got its wacky structure using the lift hill still. Other than that, we don't really have anything special despite the outer banked elements being inspired by Canva's support on the outer banked hill, as well as the upwards roll and double down using the structure of the ride's highest point to optimize support usage. Oh, and don't forget the motor at the bottom of the lift hill, but don't worry about the chain return since those models have it directly in the track. And of course, we have a transfer track to add and remove our second train. Here's our base ride completed now, and I know you wouldn't mind if I were to post it on the workshop as is, but that would not be the YanBK way. And remember, we have a new theme to try thanks to the DLC, so let's make our ride go from boringly generic to special. There we go, we don't half-ass around here, we always use our whole ass. Obviously, there was no way I was going to go for a full main street for a single coaster, so instead I decided to show you a different use of the small town theme for a pleasant, classic botanical garden style of architecture inspired by Art Nouveau. This allowed me to make this beautiful plaza with a fountain welcoming you towards the ride with an amazing view on the impressive structure for the highest point of the ride and the forceful turnaround at the midpoint of the layout. Ironically, this is quite a serene theme for such an intense ride now that I think about it, but I can't help myself, I like pretty things and I hope you do too, so let's tour this little area together, which is also included in the blueprint. First of all, you can see I divided the path from the exit with planters to create 3 different lanes. One of them is right near the lift motor, which can be accessed by staff through this custom door and is specifically there for people who are rushing for re-rides. The middle lane is larger as it will be the one most people take to leave this little area and go elsewhere in your park. As for the outermost lane, it's there to give people who need time to cool off after their ride some relaxing benches away from the main path. Our exit is where you'll get the best views of our coaster and where groups will reunite to talk about what they've just been through, because with one guest per row, you can't exactly talk about that comfortably while riding. You can also see the brake run here, which is accessible by staff thanks to the same custom gates we've just seen to access the lift motor, and while we're inside the ride area, it's as good a time as any to show you the handful of planters and foliage I added around to make it less monotonous. But back to the plaza, because that's where we can join the queue line for our single rail, and I just realized I didn't even tell you its name yet, how rude of me. It's called Rail Runner, a somewhat basic name, but that's because I switched themes while I was making the project. I originally wanted it to be steampunk, because yes, those new small town pieces can really help you for that theme too, especially with the wrought iron pieces like we have here on the entrance. Underneath a Parisian style canopy, we're led to the Q building, which is following the same classical style of architecture for botanical gardens. After that, we go up to the station, which is a mix between a train station and a greenhouse with its glass roof supported by those beautiful wrought iron pieces. Once again, we even have planters on either sides of the station and this custom operator booth as well. But my friends, it's time to have a ride on our new coaster. I present to you Rail Runner, an RMC Single Rail coaster made with the parade's back. And voila, this was Rail Runner, my intense RMC single rail coaster that I've made with my early access to Update 10 and the Parades Pack DLC. I want to give a massive thank you to Frontier for that, and if you'd like to get the Parades Pack, it releases on the 25th of June, at which point I'll update the description with the share code for this blueprint. For now though, if you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and write a nice comment, as little things like these go a long way in supporting my work, and subscribe to the channel so that you never miss cool projects such as this one ever again. If you appreciate what I do, you can also consider supporting the channel by becoming a channel supporter to get sneak peeks at what I'm working on, and you can even become a VIP supporter to get early access to POVs and chat with me daily about my progress in the VIP chat. You can see all of the legends who joined already within my main park bell floor, and if you'd like to join these fine folks, the link to do so is in the description, where you'll also find the link to join my Discord server. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Yan, your favorite friendly Frenchman, and as always, you've been awesome, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.